Good evening, Blues. Welcome to the Manchester is Blue show for another fresh look at City this week. Now, obviously, it's Nations League week, isn't it? Friendlies, Nations League, no proper football. It's a bit rubbish, isn't it, really? I don't know about you chaps, but I'm finding it quite hard to get into England at the minute, especially with no Phil there and no Raheem. What do you reckon? Although Kyle Walker does get his 50th England cap tonight, so we'll put a caveat on that, but that doesn't make me want to switch it on straight away, if I'm honest.
Do you know, it's terrible because I'd rather watch Portugal and watch Bernardo Silva, or do you know what I mean?
Well, we got Diaz, haven't we? Yeah.
Or I'd rather watch, especially when Company was with Belgium as well. You had Company, De Bruyne. I'd rather sit and watch that than start watching City a little bit more, innit? But
who have we got for Portugal? We've got Diaz, Silva, and Cancelo as well. Anyone else?
Yeah. See if he's playing.
Well, yeah, I can rightly understand why you'd rather watch that, but yeah, Kyle Walker gets his 50th England cap tonight, and that surprises me. I don't know about you, Dave, but we were talking about Kyle Walker never playing for England again after a couple of months ago, weren't we? Because he wasn't selected, and he seems to have got a bit of what's happened? What's happened to get him back into the England fold? Do you think? Is it just consistency? Because he has been for City.
Yeah, and he thinks it looks like as well that he's a bit of. I read some statistic the other day that he's been involved in something like 80% of Gareth Southgate's games in charge of England. Like he's one of Gareth Southgate's favourites, quite obviously. Whether that's playing him as a right back or as one of the three centre backs. That I don't know. You get managers, don't you, who just particularly like particular players, and they're going to play them whether it's out of position or not.
Yeah. So it's funny, isn't it, from that side of things? I'm just looking as well about the possibility of when Sergio Agüero is going to be coming back. Have you guys heard anything? Because I know he's back in training and he's smiling and it looks great, but I've not actually seen days when he's going to be back yet. Have you guys heard anything?
Not a whisper. Nothing at all.
Nothing. I've just seen the same thing, that we're still looking like a couple of weeks, even though he's back in training now. And again, as I just said before you started this, I'm hoping City have maybe started learning the lessons about bringing players back a little bit too quickly and play one game and then out for 6. Well, wouldn't it be better if we can just give Agüero the extra couple of weeks that he needs rather than throwing him in, and losing him again? That I want him to play more than 15 games this season, and if we don't manage this correctly, that's all we're going to get out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got potential of Ilkay Gundogan being back. I think he's supposed to be 75% fit at the minute, so hopefully he'll be match fit for this weekend against Arsenal. Well needed, I might add. I think he'd play if he's fit. Do you think he'll appear?
I think he'll play. I mean, I've just been talking about Southgate. Having players who he likes. I think Guardiola really likes Gundogan and is always going to try and get him in the team, because I think sometimes as fans we kind of miss that Guardiola's seeing something in Gundogan that we don't. It's just that settled nature of getting that ball, and brings a comfort factor to that whole 11 on the pitch. And yeah, I sincerely believe if Gundogan's ready, then Pep will play him on Saturday, no doubt.
I know Pep said before the international break that Gundogan and Jesus weren't fit, but after the international break, he was hoping he'd be able to feature at some point. So we seem to be dropping like flies at the moment, City players. We're not seeing. I can't remember last time we had a full strength squad, a fit full strength squad. Anyway, we need him. It seems a bit of a damp squid of a start to this season. We need to pick our game up, don't we?
Yeah. What have we got up to now? A win, a loss, and a draw. Yeah.
Not ideal, is it?
That's mid-table mediocrity if we're not careful, and we've spent too much money to do that.
Yeah, no, it's very true, pal. So we got 4 points. Yeah, from a possible 9. So we need to win against Arsenal. If we have any aspirations, we need to be beating those top 6 teams.
Yeah, we do. And I go back to I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I am staggered that we didn't throw big money at a striker during the transfer window. That's what we're crying out for.
Does there seem like there's something there? Because Haaland's got this release fee, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And nobody triggered that this before the season started, which makes me think that actually, has he got something planned already? Is that why no one's releasing it? Because he's always said, "Listen, I'm going X, Y, Z when I can." It just staggers me for somebody of that talent that no one's come in and said, "Was it 45 million quid release fee?"
How much is a release fee?
How much, sorry?
63 million, which
63
is
million.
still
Right. Okay. So the grand scheme of things for a striker of his calibre at the minute.
So if that's 80 million, you're paying it, aren't you?
It just staggers me that no one. I know we've had a pandemic and money's tight. Same money's tight. You wouldn't think that with Chelsea. It just staggers me that no one went in for him, which makes me think, is there something underlying there where he's going? He's already signed something with somebody, or I don't know.
Well, I made the point on our group chat the other day that what this, by him not being purchased by Juventus or City or whoever in this transfer window has happened is, I guarantee you what will happen is that Borussia Dortmund will offer him a new contract with more money, and they'll take away that release clause of 63 million. And then in 12 months' time, it will become a bidding war for him. And it won't be 63. It will be, he's going to go for 100, 120. So I think you're right, Tom. I think there's something behind the scenes that we just don't know, that his mind's made up. And maybe he is going to Real or Juventus or whoever. And we just don't.
City, can you imagine?
We just don't know yet. Well, and here's the funny thing, with the money, this Omar Barada, is he our chief operating officer?
Yeah,
I think he is.
CDO.
We've not been able to shut him up over the last few days. He's been saying, about Lionel Messi that, essentially, no, we have the finances, we have everything in place to do a transfer like that next year. So he's making the case that, hey, City are financially sound right now. So if that's the case, why haven't they gone in? Why haven't they bought Martinez for 100 million from Inter Milan? Why haven't they gone for Haaland for 63?
Which makes me think that there is something bubbling away there. Is it a Messi deal? So all the money's being pumped into that?
I really feel I don't want Messi at City. I don't. But I think that's what's going to happen next year. And you've kind of started reading, have you seen, the last couple of days that Agüero's talking about Messi quite a lot, about rooming with him. And they're like, he made some comment like they're more like husband and wife when they room together, when they're on international duty, like they're best mates. And I think this is, we're seeing that Inter Milan are after Agüero now. I can't see that happening. I really think what's going to happen is Agüero's going to stay and Messi's going to join us next summer.
Just a question for Dave, Reese. Obviously, you say you wouldn't necessarily want Messi at City.
Yeah.
If signing Messi meant Agüero would sign a 2-year extension and Guardiola would sign an extension, would you have him then?
No, because I think he's the wrong player right now. I want a Haaland to join. I want, I was even touting Cavani. I know he's 33, 34, or a Dzeko. I think our style of play is lovely, but we're not putting the ball in the back of the net. And I think all Messi's going to do is be that same sort of player. He's not 6'2". He's not a Lewandowski who can put his head, on a ball in the box. I think Messi's the greatest player in the world right now. I think he's top 3 of all time, but I don't think he's the right player for City, particularly at 34 years of age, which he would be. It kind of smacks to me, Tom, a little bit of when we signed George Weah. When Joe Royal signed George Weah, that we got all excited. Oh, we've got this, the World Player of the Year. And let's be honest, I bumped into him outside Edgeley Park in, Stockport, and he didn't know where the bloody hell he was. He didn't know what was going on. And I kind of see the same thing happening with Messi, that it's just great player, wrong time.
I had Tom. Welcome back, pal. It's a funny one, this, because when all this hype was going around before the season, we needed Messi. We needed Messi. We needed that marquee. We needed to get the fans behind us. We really needed to get that pomp about us. Hiya, Dan. You're right, pal.
No, Dan.
We're just talking about Messi. We need to get that the beginning of the season. We need to get the fans behind us. We need to get the pomp behind us. We really need to make a big push on this season. And now we didn't sign him. I'm inclined to say, do you know what? I'd rather have Haaland. I'd rather have the Martinez. I'd rather have somebody who's going to be there for the long term rather than Messi for the next year, 2 years. But that said, if he comes in January, will it be January? Will it be the end of the season?
They're saying it would be the end of the season.
So again, right? I'd rather bring a Haaland or a Martinez in January to pump us through.
Yeah, but I think all signs point to, with Omar Barada, he's on record now of saying that look, we have the finances for him. I honestly think it's going to happen. I think they are preempting City fans for, look, we're going to lose Garcia in January. That's quite obvious.
Yeah.
I'm guaranteeing you that'll be part of the negotiations as well. Well, we're going to give you Garcia. We're going to take Messi at the end of the season. We keep talking about things that are done behind the scenes. I think this is pretty much a done deal. I think he's joining us next summer. I really do.
Dan Fielding, how we doing, pal? What's your Messi thoughts? Have you changed opinion in the last couple of months? No swearing, please.
Not in the slightest. I saw these reports myself, and it's all just publicity with City now, with Messi in general. Why can't we just focus on the long-term success of the club through a youth academy, signing the right players, rather than signing this former the best player in the world, so to speak? I don't think he is anymore. I don't think he has been for the past year. It's just going to be for revenue. Yes, fair enough, revenue. If any fees are involved, would pay for themselves. But why? Don't get me wrong. As soon as he puts that blue shirt on, I'll be right behind him, as I am with every player that puts the shirt on. But in terms of the transfer, I am completely against it.
Would you be like me then? You'd rather have a striker for the future?
I would rather put the wages that we're planning on giving him. Let's put it in perspective. No matter what price he comes for, whether it be a free agent, whether it'll be a small fee, he will be probably the best paid player there at the club, without a doubt. I'd rather split them wages up and get two decent younger players, should I say. They've got potential to be there and be part of a much broader prospect of more trophies in the future, rather than just the 1 or 2 seasons. Messi will most likely be here with us if he does come.
Would you not think that the wages are going to pay for himself with the shirt sales and stuff like that?
Yes, but at the same time, my view hasn't changed on the idea of him coming to the idea that he'll be pushing other players out. Ferran Torres, yes, he's only just started for City. Messi's a right-sided player, so's Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres is only 20 years old. As soon as Messi comes, even if Ferran has the next half a season absolutely world-class, Messi's going to come in and take that position away from him. Even if he is on top form and he's going to Pep, look, Pep, I'm impressing you in training here, I should be playing. It's not going to happen because it's Lionel Messi. It doesn't matter what club Messi goes to, doesn't matter what players are in front of him in terms of form, Messi will start, even for a manager like Pep. And that's my only dig about it.
Yeah. Where do you play? If Messi joins, where do you play Foden, De Bruyne, Sterling, Mahrez, Torres? Me and Dan have talked about this. Where does he fit in?
Could you play Messi as a striker? Could he be that striker?
He'd get goals, wouldn't he, without a doubt? But like you say,
I think you could. I think you could quite easily in a Guardiola setup play Messi as a false 9, regardless of the fact he's getting on a bit. Pep always likes a smaller player up front. That's what he's gone with. He prefers that smaller player with a creative brain. And I think if you're talking, and like I say, I know he's lost a yard of pace. I'd sooner have him playing through the middle than I would out on the wing if he is, obviously, say we sign him. And he knows where the back of the net is. His football brain, regardless of his age, regardless of if he's not quite as good technically as he has been a couple of years ago, his football brain is as good as anyone. And just imagine Messi knowing that he's got De Bruyne playing him in, or he's got Phil Foden playing him in. Imagine how many goals he'd score playing up front. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think if we did sign him, I do think we'll play him out on the wing. Should Agüero stay? Because obviously there's now talk that Agüero might head off at the end of the season. But I think if we get Messi, I think Agüero stays. I couldn't see Messi come in. If Messi comes, Guardiola and Agüero will both still be at the club. I think if either of them two leave, I think Messi, or if both of them leave, Messi certainly won't happen. But I think if either of them two leave, I don't think Messi happens. But if they stay and Messi comes, I can see him playing out on the wing. But I'd definitely play him up front. I mean, I'm with you, Tom, in the fact that I'd sooner invest some money in Haaland or Martinez or a striker for the future. I would rather use some money in that way. But if City do run with going with Messi over Haaland or whoever, then I'd happily watch him play up front. And I do think he'd do a very good job playing up front in the way that he plays. He played under Guardiola before, and we saw how well he did there. So, and I know that's obviously a completely different time in his career, but he can definitely do it for me, 100%.
It's just a funny thing for me, Tommy, is that a striker by definition is someone like a Dzeko or a Lewandowski who is up front and is waiting for that ball, to be crossed in, or is getting the ball at the feet and then turning. We've always seen with Messi, he wants to drop deep and he wants to get on that ball and he wants to make things happen. If anyone watched that Amazon documentary on Messi, which is fantastic, they talk about on there, the coaches, that Messi only wants the ball given to him when he thinks that he can make a difference and knows and something's going to happen with the ball. So only pass him it when he knows he can influence the game in some way. And I just feel that even as a false nine or, as a striker, he's not going to have that influence on the game because he might have to make runs, or he's just going to be like holding his hand up, like waiting for the ball to be passed for him, rather than what his game is get me on the ball. It's kind of like De Bruyne, get me on the ball and then I will make something happen.
Lads, I just need to take a break of this for a moment. Portugal have scored, and Cancelo has just played a Kevin De Bruyne ball. Right, far side of the pitch, whipped it right behind all the defenders, and it's been finished superbly. Just watching this in the background, crikey, what I tell you what, you can tell he's got the De Bruyne instinct in him. Where were we there? Where were we? I think if I was Raheem Sterling, I'm going to come back to your point, Dave, about Messi. If I was Raheem Sterling, who did you mention? Raheem Sterling, got Torres, Mahrez. Who else have we got?
Foden, De Bruyne,
Bernardo.
I think the only players that would. I don't think Foden would be in that. Well, actually, he likes playing on the wing, doesn't he? If I was Mahrez or Raheem Sterling, I would be rubbing my hands together with Messi coming. The amount of runs those two make and the potential goals they can score. Oh, I just think that false nine is absolutely ideal for Messi. Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? I tell you one thing as well. If we start seeing news that Pep's going to sign an extension and Sergio signs an extension, the Holy Trinity is definitely Messi signing. Something's happening. The cogs are working in the background, and if you see those two things happen, I'm telling you, we're signing Messi. Because Sergio was going this season, wasn't he? This was his last season.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years. So Andy, he said he was leaving after the 2018 World Cup initially. I reckon he'll be here till he's 50.
Who's saying he was only leaving when we win the Champions League, so it could be even longer.
Leaving, is he?
I think he's so settled in Manchester. He's lovely home, an absolute fleet of cars. My brother-in-law sees him around Hale all the time. Like, I think he's settled, and particularly of his best mate, who is godfather to to Benjamin comes and plays as well, he's not going to go anywhere. He's going to want to see. I'm sure they've talked about, can we make this work at club level? They've never played at club level together. They've never really made it work or made it tick at international level with Argentina, but club game's totally different. And I'm sure they've talked about, God, let's try this at Manchester City. You know, we've got the world's best coach. Let's see if we can make this work.
Absolutely.
Dan, I agree with you. I'm just making the point.
Yeah. Just to listen to people watching on the podcast, Dan's face is like steel at the minute. Cold steel, unimpressed.
Molten steel, more like.
Cometh.
I'm on the alcohol. I didn't even know what we were talking about. I already had my ears twitching.
Oh, what's it? So Raheem Sterling, lads, is he going to be playing against Arsenal this weekend? He's been withdrawn from the England game, hasn't he?
Which we're now losing, by the way.
England, what, against Denmark? Fantastic.
Yeah, we're losing.
Brilliant.
1-0.
Outstanding. I'm so glad I missed it.
Harry Maguire's been sent off as well.
Harry Maguire sent off. What a pillar.
That goal was a penalty as well, wasn't it?
What's going on there with Harry Maguire? I know it's a complete side subject to Raheem Sterling, but he was excellent at Leicester, adequate to poor United, and now he's getting sent off for England. He's going downhill rapidly, isn't he?
Keep him at
Eyes at the
United.
wheel, lads. Eyes at the wheel.
Keep him at United.
Right. We don't want to talk about them lot, do we?
So I think Sterling, I think that, again, that was a precaution, and I think City are becoming a little bit more Alex Ferguson's United now, where he just basically wouldn't let some of the international players go. Like Giggs only played a handful of games for Wales.
Yeah.
Even when he was fit. And lo and behold, on a Saturday, he was totally fine for United. I've got a feeling with Sterling, it was very much precautionary. And again, as I was saying before, Sterling really is a Pep favourite. I think he'll play on Saturday. I'll be surprised if he doesn't.
Yeah, me too. You saw the news today that the Premier League teams have come out and said about this big picture project has been turned down by everybody. What's everyone made of this? Tom, go on, Tom. I want your opinion of this from your journalist.
Yeah.
I just think the whole thing from the get-go was just never going to happen. I think changes do need to be made in terms of the way the finances within the leagues are distributed. I don't think there's any question with that in terms of helping out the teams who need it. I mean, we've heard today that I think 6 championship clubs are worried about bankruptcy and things like that. I do think that needs to be looked at, but I mean, were they talking? It was like 16th place would join the playoffs with the championship clubs or something stupid like that, or 17th place or something. I just think to put in sort of a framework in place, or to put in this suggestion now, just didn't make sense to me. I think we need at the minute to keep things as close to normal as we can, given what's going on, and then make obviously the necessary changes on the finance side. But I just think the whole thing was, I can't believe when I first read it, as I think it was in one of the papers on Twitter, it come up on Twitter, might have even been The Sun or somewhere like that. And I read it, and I thought, well, this is just a load of rubbish. It's not going to happen. And then it started getting reported on Sky Sports and stuff, and I thought, is this actually serious? Like, are they actually looking at doing this? But no, I never really read it and thought, yeah, this has any chance of going ahead from the get-go. I do think it was sort of a really strange one, and a really strange thing that no one had really even mentioned, and then all of a sudden it was this big plan. I couldn't really get my head around it, to be honest with you.
It just had all the smatterings of 2 large companies wanting to buy up the small companies that are struggling at the minute.
Yeah.
It's just that phrase that we use, a power grab, and it just genuinely seems that what it is. There's loads of clubs that are struggling financially that would welcome this kind of deal. I heard the Accrington's manager. Not Accrington, sorry. Peterborough manager, Peterborough chairman, talking the other day, saying, "Do you know what? If someone's going to come to offer me 12 million quid, I'd rip their arm off tomorrow." Because there's a load of clubs that would accept that deal because they know they're not going to be in a chance of hitting that top 6, top 10 Premier League, your Champions League teams that would snap their arm off for that money. However, there are clubs like in Leicester's, your Newcastle's that have a bit of finances coming to them that do hopefully have aspirations of what City have done. That would turn it down. It was just you know what, horrible United and Liverpool, aren't they? They've shown their hand to be absolute horrible.
Do
We
what?
need a beep machine here.
I think the way forward would have been is, yes, have your 18 teams, get rid of United and Liverpool, and then everyone's happy, aren't they?
A lot of people.
Probably the easiest way around it, to say, yeah, sorry.
Good idea, lads. You can start off in the Championship and see how it goes.
League 2.
League 2, please, yeah.
Let them know how it feels.
Not a proper team until you've won a division playoff.
Exactly.
So, lads, let's move on to the Arsenal game. How are we thinking? I'm a little bit nervous, I won't lie. I'm thinking a lot. I need to try and get my positive mindset back because I'm feeling a bit dejected with City at the minute, and I really want a good solid win to get my mindset back on track. How are you feeling, Lee? What are your thoughts on the game, mate?
Yeah, partly nervous but partly confident, if that makes sense. I think the whole no fans there. Every single club you look at playing football is different now. It's amazing how much the fans actually have an input of a game. You look at Liverpool losing 7-2 to Villa.
Bonkers. Which hasn't been mentioned very much in the news, actually. Have you noticed that
Surprise.
lack of reporting of that game? It's almost like if it didn't happen. If that was City, that would be all over the newspaper. Sorry, Lee.
Yeah, no, you're right, mate. And I was thinking with a full crowd there, it's not going to be 7-2, is it? Even though, it's away from home, whatever. I think with the crowds there, it is a different game altogether. But hence why I think we've struggled this season, because I think the empty stadiums is not that sort of like the fans ain't getting up your back, are they? To when you're playing bad, all you've got is it like the club with the players. But yeah, regardless of Saturday though, I don't know. It's one of them. If we turn up, I think we'll win comfortably. If we don't, I think we'll get hammered. All depends how they turn up on the day.
Yeah, it depends what's available to us team-wise, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
We'll come on to predictions in a minute. Dan, what's your thoughts on Saturday, pal?
Nothing but confidence, pal. We got to win this game. Yes. Against Arteta, why not? We've got Ruben, Diaz and Laporte, both fit. Both seem to play well against Leeds. Cancelo's firing all guns, which means hopefully he'll be playing left back. Kyle Walker, that's a top back four, including Ederson back five. No reason not to, especially with the way Diaz settled into that team and with Ake being on the bench. Really happy with how he started the season. I'm just confident about that.
That's the spirit. That's the Dan Fielding I like to hear. I love it. Tom, what we're thinking, pal?
I've said a couple of times that I think
I don't like where this is going.
Post-international break will be all right. I think too many people have looked over the fact that City didn't have a pre-season. And I don't know if I've said it on this show or if I've said it somewhere else. The last game we played prior to the Wolves game at the start of the season was Lyon. And I mean, I know obviously every other team has had condensed pre-seasons because it's a short turnaround, but we've not had anything. We've literally gone from the end of the season to start of the next game by game. And I think that first 3 games that we've had has been essentially our pre-season for players to finally match fitness, to sort of finally form, to get used to playing with each other again. And we've had this week off or 2 weeks off, however long it's been. I can't even remember when we last played. Was it 2 weeks ago? And yeah, I feel like we've now had our start to the season, which hasn't been amazing. It's also not been disastrous. Don't get me wrong. If Liverpool had gone and beaten Villa, I think we'd be having a very different conversation in terms of where we're at. But seeing Liverpool getting hammered has sort of reopened the league up for me. And I think, yeah, a point at Leeds at the end of the season, I think will prove to be an all right point. They're a good side. They play good football. We should have won the game if we'd had a fit strike. Would have won the game would have been about 4-0 up by half time. But I think, yeah, we've had an okay start to the season. It's not been the end of the world. And this next, I think we have 3 games before we play Liverpool at the Etihad at the start of November. Is it like Arsenal, Sheffield United, and someone else? And I'm fully confident that we'll go and win every game up until that Liverpool game. And I'm also confident they'll drop some points. So from what looked like we could be 6-9 points behind Liverpool by the time we play them. We could well be looking to go a couple of points clear of them by the time we play them in November. So yeah, I'm very confident for the Arsenal game. I'm always confident, but I'm particularly confident this week. I'm not too sure why.
It's funny this because I'm looking at our fixtures and we got 1, 2, 3 Champions League games before we play Liverpool. So we play Arsenal on the 17th. We play Porto on the 21st. West Ham on the 24th. Bloody hell. Marseille on the 27th. Sheffield United on the 31st. and then Olympiacos on the 3rd, and then Liverpool on the 7th. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Got plenty of time off, like, haven't they? I wish I had that time off in between games.
Crikey, that's a lot of games, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, we're lucky we got a quite easy draw as far as Champions League draws go, in the fact that we got an easy draw on both. The teams aren't as hard as they could have been, and we don't have an awful lot of travelling to do. What is it? Greece, Portugal, and France. So they're all relatively short flights, not massive time zones. Thank God we don't have to go to Shakhtar Donetsk again this year.
Oh,
imagine that slap bang in the middle of that run of fixtures, Shakhtar or CSKA Moscow or something like that. So the fact that we've obviously got a lot of games, we're really helped by the fact we've not got an awful lot of travelling, climatising, time zones and all this to deal with. That's in some respects in a lot of respects that will really help us when it comes to obviously playing a million games in 4 days. So, but what can you expect with City? That's the price of success, isn't it?
Is my friend
to play every day.
We'd only be whinging if we weren't playing the Champions League.
Exactly.
Dave, come on, mate. What are you thinking? How are we going to get on against the Gooners?
7-0.
So, for me, this is going to show what kind of tactician.
If you say 2-1, I'm going to slap you.
We're not for predictions yet. Wait for predictions.
This is a test, Dan, as far as I'm concerned. That I think Arteta has already shown himself to be a better tactician than Guardiola. I didn't say coach, I said tactician.
Yeah.
So Guardiola, every so often, like Real Madrid game springs to mind, is where he gets his tactics spot on. And what he needs to do on Saturday is learn from that FA Cup semi-final of where Arteta got his tactics spot on, and he needs to do the reverse. Arsenal have got some really good players. Arteta's going to want to go back there and obviously get the win. We need the points. We're probably going to be got injuries. He needs to get his team selection right, and he needs to get his tactics right. I don't think De Bruyne is going to play on Saturday, or I think it would be foolhardy to play him because he's obviously not fit. But get Bernardo in there. We've got a good engine on him. You know, we talked about before, Tom, if Gundogan's fit, yeah, he's not my favourite player, but he does bring a bit of calm to the team as well, and maybe that's what we need. I totally agree with Dan on the back five as well, but it's more the tactics for me. Who's going to be that player who's going to stick the ball in the back of the net? Is he going to play Delap? I know he's only 17, but you know, Jesus is out, Agüero's out. Who's going to put the ball in the back of the net for us?
It's got false 9 written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah. So for me, if I'm going first for predictions, I don't think we'll win. I think it's going to be another draw. I'm going 2-2.
2-2. Right, coming right back at you, Tom Young. Hang on, lads. What we're going to do is we're going to have what I think we should start doing is a little competition between us and get like points if you get the draw and etc. etc. So hang on, Dave. I'll go for this 2-2.
Yeah.
Go on then, Tom. What you reckon?
2-1 City. 2-1.
2-1 to the Blues. Yep. Come on, Dan Fielding.
5-1 City.
Oof.
Oof. Do you want to go for your goal scorers as well? Torres hat-trick.
Diaz gets 2.
No, honest to God, one of the back two with a headed goal. Those two looked absolutely brilliant in the corners against Leeds. You know, it's quite nice to see as well. So, yeah, exactly. So, I reckon Sterling will have a blinder. I think he'll be really up for this game. But, yeah, 5-1, definitely.
Lee, we're going to end it with you.
2-0 City.
2-0, I like that. I am reverting back to last season and not predicting scores because I've tried to predict the last 4 games and we've not done particularly well. So
you can't do that. You're writing the scores down. We want to hear what you got to say.
I'm writing them down. I'm not predicting anything.
No,
I'm reverting back to the not superstitious. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm not doing it again. I'm not predicting any more games again. I'm not doing any more betting again. I'm rubbish. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just really looking forward to watching a good game of football, and I hope it is. really hope it is. We need to win so much. Arsenal have won 3 out of the last 4. So they won the last game. They drew the one. They lost the one before that. So they're 4th in the league, lads. Table never lies, unfortunately.
The really scary thing is Arsenal, in terms of the bookies, will probably most likely go into this game as favourites. You know, on form and previous results, you know, they're going to be looking at City thinking, look, it's Arteta. He's got the best out of Pep twice now. Who's to say it's going to be a third time? But that works in our favour because I've always said, Real Madrid, especially, when we go into a game as an underdog, we perform so much better, regardless of who starts.
Well, I'll tell you now, Dan. Currently, the bookies have us at 2-5 favourites and Arsenal at 11-2. So if it might be worth a fiver on Arsenal at the weekend if that's what you're going with. But no, I don't think I've ever really seen City as not favourites with the bookies. But yeah, they still fancy us as big favourites. But I think those odds are slightly generous given the forms of the two
funny,
teams.
isn't it? Sure. It's really funny that I'm looking at City and I'm not feeling it as like a favourite this weekend. They always do. I just think there's too many. Not necessarily. I don't want to use the word negatives, but there's too many things that are potentially going to work against us for this game.
The thing with this season as a whole, no team really are favourites. The way this season started, the score lines, and you know the amount of goals that have been scored, and how shocking defences have been. Yes, some people will say, "I'll give it a few games in the league for defences to sort themselves out and get match fit." 7-2 Liverpool, 6-1 United, which, by the way, who was the last team that did that? And Joe Hart was in both clubs at the time.
Well said.
You know, who would have ever thought those scores were ever possible, even without any pre-season and just a few games into the Premier League title? These are Premier League teams. The scorelines have been ridiculous. I don't think anybody's really favourites.
I don't think I've ever seen so many penalties awarded either in the first 2 games. Look how many penalties awarded since the start of the season. It's ridiculous. Nearly one in every game at the minute.
How many do we have?
Yeah. You look at the teams and only like West Brom have conceded the most with 13. And then you got Fulham who are bottom who've conceded 11. And then United and Liverpool have both conceded 11 goals, having played. United have only played 3 games and conceded 11 goals. Like, how good is that? How good is that United are just absolutely shite? But
cracking day of football. Saturday, the cracking day of football. We've got the Merseyside derby, 12:30, 12:30, Everton, Liverpool. 3 o'clock, Chelsea, Southampton. City, Arsenal at 5:30, and then Newcastle versus United at 8.
Yeah.
How many of them do you have to pay 15 quid for, though?
I only see an Everton win there.
Oh, I would love that. I love it.
I can't see any different. I think they're
Liverpool.
I think that they're the form team. I think Everton have been fantastic. They've got a brilliant coach.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're recruited perfectly in every area.
You've got his England debut, got his goal. He'll be chomping at the bit. I think Everton will destroy Liverpool at the weekend. I really do.
You'd love to see it. I think it's this weekend as well, isn't it? The Old Firm derby on Saturday afternoon as well.
Yeah, 12:30 kick-off.
Is that 12:30 as well?
Yeah,
it's a good weekend of football. I'm just glad international break's nearly over because I hate it. I couldn't care less about any of that international tosh unless it's a World Cup. You won't catch me watching any international football, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, brilliant.
It's like watching the Nations League, including Gundogan, really, isn't it, with all the international games? Jesus, I can send you...
You leave my Gundogan alone. Right, lads, we're leaving it there for the night. I think we're not going to do any of the chats before the game against Arsenal. We might do a little chat on tomorrow or Friday. Might have a bit of a chat. We'll see what's going on. But lovely to talk to you as always. Anything else to add, anyone, before we go?
I think so.
Just come on, City!
Come on, City!
Yeah.
If we don't speak to you later, we will speak to you on Saturday afternoon for City game versus Arsenal. Have a great one, lads. Catch you later.
See you later.
Until we die.